Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to discuss the lecture number 3 of biostatistics. In our last lecture, we have discussed that how qualitative data is presented in the forms of tables and graphs, with the exception of few things. For example, the histograms are presented for the quantitative data. The frequency polygons are basically drawn for the quantitative data, but majority of the qualitative data is presented in the form of graphs and frequency tables. So today we'll be discussing that how the quantitative data or numerical data is presented when we want to present the descriptive statistics for numerical data. Fine. So the numerical data or the quantitative data, as you already know, we have discussed it, that it is the data in which the researcher deal with numbers. These are further subdivided into discrete data and continuous data. The discrete data is the data in which the researcher deals with the whole number and there is no decimal comes in the observation. But the continuous data is that data which has no regular intervals between them and it is continuously shown over a period of time. So, how do we present the quantitative data or the continuous data and discrete data or numerical data? We present them when we want to present the descriptive statistics of quantitative data. We deal with measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. So, now we will start discussing measures of central tendency. There are three measures of central tendency: mean, median, and mode, which are calculated in different scenarios with different interpretations. Let's start with the mean. Mean means arithmetic mean and it reflects the average value. It is presented with X bar sign. So whenever you in biostatistics see this sign, it means the researcher wants to present the mean of the sample. It gives a very good comparison. It gives a mean value to us, the average value to us. For example, if I want to check the hemoglobin level of fourth year MBBS students, I will take blood sample of each and every individual who is included in my sample, and then I will assess what is the hemoglobin values of each and every individual. But while presenting the data, I will not present the hemoglobin values of each and every individual. I will give a value which will represent the whole sample. It means I have to collect the mean hemoglobin level of fourth year MBBS. So what will I do? That I will take each and every observation of hemoglobin which I have estimated by the blood count and the hemoglobinometer, and then I will add them up all. I will sum up my all observations and I will divide them by the total number to get the average or the mean hemoglobin level. This sign denotes the summation. X1 is the observation of a participant 1. X2 is the observation of participant 2, X3 is the observation made on participant 3, and so on until we reaches a specific value of Xn, which is the total sample size. We will sum up all the observations and we will divide them by the number of observations and we will get the mean value. Fine. These mean values are affected by the extreme values. For example, if somebody belongs to Gilgit Baltistan and he presents with a high hemoglobin level because of the polycythemia, and it may also be a case that there are certain girls who are very anemic because of certain reasons. So there are varied type of observations in one class which will affect the central value. if there will be more number of values with the anemia in females, or if there are more values of numbers with polycythemia in that sample, that will affect the mean value. So the mean is affected by the extreme values, but this is the most common value with which the researcher present their quantitative data. They always express that the mean age of the sample was this, mean hemoglobin of the sample was this, mean cholesterol level of this sample who was suffering from ischemic heart disease was this. So whenever we are dealing with quantitative data, we have to calculate the mean values. So for this mean values, if the normal data is present and everybody belongs to a normal distribution curve and there is not much variation, then the mean value is the more meaningful. So what we will do, we will take hemoglobin of this participant and we will add them all and divide them by the total number of observations we have made, which will give us a mean value. But this is an example to calculate the mean value, and the another form of presentation for calculation of mean can be that this is represented by x bar. This is the summation sign. X means all the observations which are made, and n denotes the sample size. So for example, a study was conducted in these students who have showed these exam scores. So what we will do, we will add them all, which will be 245, and we will divide them by the total number of observations which were made, and this will give us the mean value. Moving forward, let's go back to that example. For example, in our sample, there are normal people who have the normal hemoglobin range, but there are certain people who have polycythemia because they have spent whole this time of corona epidemic in Gilgit-Baltistan enjoying their time. And there may be some people who have less hemoglobin because they are not taking proper diet and they are anemic because of certain disease condition. In such conditions, the mean will be affected by the value of this particular person and by the values of this particular person. So in that case, mean will be disturbed. It will not reflect us the true picture of the measure of central tendency. In that case, we calculate median. So whenever we are dealing with skewed distribution in which variation is present, we calculate median because mean becomes meaningless then. So how do we calculate median? For calculation of median, the initial step is that data is arranged either in ascending order or it is arranged in descending order. And then the central two values are taken into account and the two values are added up and they are divided by 2 to give us the median. The median becomes more representative when there is variation in the ends or there is skewness of data. This median does not depend on each observation. As in mean, we were taking all the observations into account, we were summing them up and we were dividing them by the number of observations. But in calculating median, we are now ignoring the skewed distribution and the values which are present on the left hand side and on the right hand side, and we are taking only the central two values to calculate the median. So it will not be affected by the extreme values which are present on both ends. So median will give us a true picture of central tendency if we are dealing with skewed distribution. Example is that let's consider this data. We know that this data of scores, let's suppose it starts from 15 to 91, and there are people who have scored number of 26, 66, 72 and 38. It means there is a wider variation. So by looking at the data, we will be knowing that the mean will not be meaningful in this case. So what do we do? The first step will be to arrange the data in ascending order or arrange the data in descending order. In this case, we have arranged it in ascending order. And while looking into the ascending order, the middle value, which is the single value, is measured as the median value, which reflects the division of set into two halves. The median can be calculated if the number of observations are odd, then we can take the two central values and we can take them, we can add them together and we can divide them by 2. But if the number of observations is even, we have to take the values at the central position, and the central position will be represented by the median value. The most common observation which occurs with the greatest frequency in a data set is labeled as mode. Again, it represents that how frequently a value is present in data, which again reflects the central position of the data set, that a large number of people revolve around this data set. It eliminates extreme variation. It is easy to locate and understand, and it gives a picture of the most common finding. Fine. So here comes your assignment 1. A study was conducted in a rural area where the age at first delivery of rural women was the area of interest for the researcher. And researcher took a sample of 10 women who came to the rural health center, and their age was taken in years. So this is the data set. You have to find out the measures of central tendency. This is your assignment 1. For this data set, you have to measure the values of central tendency. This is just the summarization how we go about the mean, median, and mode. Mean is represented by x bar, and it is this is the summation of all the observations. N is the sample size. Most of the time, the small n represents the sample size, and capital N represents the population size. And if the data is skewed, then we do not take mean, we take median. And while calculating the median, we arrange the order in ascending or descending order. We divide the data set into ascending or descending order, and then we take the central values in case of odds and evens, and then we decide that what are the median. And then the most common data set which is occurring is labeled as mode. So moving towards the measures of dispersion, remember always that the quantitative data, when it is described, it is always described in terms of measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. It is never presented alone. So we will be discussing measures of dispersion now, and there are 4 measures of dispersion: range, mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation. Let me tell you, many times question comes to calculate mean deviation and standard deviation. So you should be very vigilant during the course of the lecture. So moving forward with the measures of dispersion, the first dispersion measurement is the range. What do you do that when you take a sample set, you subtract the lowest value from the highest value to get a range of the data set. This range is represented by R. It is very easy to calculate. This is unstable because it depends upon the values which are present in the sample. It is extremely affected by the extreme values. If it is skewed distribution, the range will be varied and it will be high. If it is the distribution which is around the mean and central distribution, then the range will be low. And it does not give us a clear picture about the dispersion. So we want to calculate the other measures of dispersion even after knowing the range of the data set. How do we calculate a range? You will take the value of the largest observation and the value of the smallest observation, and you will subtract the value of smallest observation from the largest observation to get the value of range. The formula can be R is equal to X maximum observation, which is the maximum highest observation, minus the X minimum, which is the lowest observation. This will give us a range. As range does not give us a true picture, so we want to calculate the median deviation. What do we mean by median deviation is that this is the deviation of any value from the arithmetic mean, that how much each observation in a data set vary from the mean of the data set. Fine. For example, you know that I have taken a sample of 10 people and I have taken their hemoglobin levels. And now for the calculation of the measures of central tendency, I have calculated the mean, which means the X bar. Now I want to know that how far my sample 1 is from the mean, how far my sample B is from the mean, and how far my sample C is from the mean, so on and so forth. So mean deviation actually gives you the mean of deviations between the observations and the mean. So it is calculated by X minus X bar, where X is the observation of the each and every individual in the sample and X bar is the mean. Let me explain you further. For example, respiratory rate of 10 patients who present with asthma is this. And now you want to calculate the bias of dispersion. The first step will be to calculate the range. And the range will be identification of the maximum value, which is 25, and identification of the minimum value, which is 17 in this case. So 16 in this case. So the range will be 25 minus 16. That is 9. So the range of the respiratory rate between asthmatic patients is from 16 to 25, that is equal to 9. Fine. So I want to calculate further that what is the difference of each observation from the mean. So what will I do? In the first column, I will write the number of observations which I have made. So I have taken 10 sample size. So this will range from 1 to 10. Now I will put the respiratory rate of each participant of the sample. If you will go back, the respiratory rate of the first participant was 18 and the second was 20. So I have put the respiratory rates of these participants according to their serial number. It means this is the simple frequency of the respiratory rate of my participants who have entered into my sample. Now I want to calculate the mean value. Mean value is, what will I do? I will calculate all them. I will add them all, which is 105 or which is 195. And then I will divide the 195 by 10, which will give us a mean value of 19.5. To know the mean deviation, I want to know that how much each observation differs from the mean of the sample. It means I will calculate it as 18 minus 19.5, x minus x bar, 20 minus 19.5, 19 minus 19.5. So it will give me the values of deviation of each observation from the mean. Now I want to calculate the mean deviation. So look at this. Now the values, you have to be very vigilant with the signs. For example, 18 minus 19.5 will result in minus 1.5. 20 minus 19.5 will result in plus 0.5. 19 minus 19.5 will give us minus 0.5. So now I know that how much each observation differs from the mean, which will give us the deviation. Now I want to calculate the mean deviation. And to calculate the mean deviation, I will again sum them up all. I will sum them up all and I will divide them by the sample size, which is the value of mean calculation. So when I want to calculate the mean deviation, I will always end up in this column with 0, because the minus signs and the positive signs will cancel each other and the mean deviation will always be equal to 0, which is x minus x bar over n. It will be always 0. It means mean deviation will be meaningless for me. If mean deviation is meaningless for me, so I am interested in knowing what is the difference of each observation from the mean. And this is resulting in 0. So what I will do, I want to now cancel the presence of these signs which are making my value 0. So I will take square of each value, which is x minus x bar will be taken as now x minus x bar whole square. So minus 1.5 whole square will result in a value which will be positive, because whenever we take a square, it will be always a positive value. So I will take a square of this, I will take a square of this, and I am taking this square root because I want to finish the impact of these signs of minuses to make my mean deviation more meaningful. So whenever I will take the square, I am moving forward. So while talking about the mean deviation, this is the average deviation from the arithmetic mean. It is calculated by x minus x bar 0. Sum of all deviations will always score 0. So I have to now take a square root of all the observations. So I will take x minus x bar whole square to calculate the mean deviation, which is now known as variance. So variance will be presented as s square, and we will take summation of x minus x bar whole square and over n. Now the biostatisticians say that if the sample size is less than 30, you will use the formula of summation x minus x bar whole square over whole square divided by n minus 1 for calculation of variance. But if the sample size is more than 30, then the formula will be the same. That is summation x minus x bar whole square over n, in which we have taken the values for calculation of mean. Fine. So let's move forward. Sample variation. So now we will take the x minus x bar whole square and all the values will now be in positive values, because we wanted to finish these signs, greater signs, which are impacting and bringing the value of mean deviation to 0. So we have taken square. And if we have taken square, all the values are now positive and we will add them up. Summation x minus x bar whole square will give us the average, and we will divide them by n to get the mean difference of each value from the mean. But this is now known as variance. If the sample size is less than 30, for the denominator, you will take n minus 1, and if the sample size is more than 30, you will take the denominator as n for calculation of variance. So you will sum them up all, which is almost 66.50. You will divide them by 10, and this will give you your variance. Now the question arises, that if you have taken the value of square root to finish the negative signs, it means each and every value is now doubled. And this is not truly reflecting the uh, difference of each observation from the mean. So to counteract the effect of this square which was taken, now I will take square root. So for standard deviation, the variance of the under root of the variance will be taken. So it means summation x minus x bar whole square over n minus 1 in whole under root will give us the value of standard deviation, which is actually depicting deviation of each value from the mean. In case of sample size less than 30, you will use n minus 1 in the denominator, and if the sample size is more than 30, you will only use the n as the denominator, which will give us standard deviation. So standard deviation means the variance, which was 66.50, mean deviation was 0. The variance was 66.50 divided by 10. And in case of standard deviation, you will divide 66.50 divided by 10 minus 1 whole under root, and this will give you a standard value of standard deviation. So whenever you want to find out the difference of each value from the mean in a sample, you will calculate standard deviation, because mean deviation will always be 0. Variance will be depicted as the square of the mean deviation, and standard deviation will be taken as the under root of the variance, which will actually give us a true picture of the variance, of the deviation. So this is the standard difference of an observation from the mean, which was our objective. So, during household survey of Sham Ki Bhattiyan, Ufuk collected sample of 11 houses. She assessed the number of households in each house. Her observations are as follows. Calculate mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation of data. And remember always that whenever you present measures of central tendency, you have to accompany them with measures of dispersion, and you always present the data in such a form that the mean hemoglobin concentration of the sample was 11.62 plus minus 2.3 grams per deciliter, and this plus minus value comes from the standard deviation. In this case, you will say that the mean number of household survey in each case, let's suppose, was 5 plus minus 2 standard deviation is the answer. Fine. So this is your assignment 2. You have to submit these assignments within half an hour of the finishing line of this lecture. And I'm waiting for your questions, which never come to me. Thank you so much.